Welcome, everybody, to Two Goalies, One Mic, episode 156, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with 8 different Western New York locations and over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you go check Fatty Beer out, one of Western New York's only kid and dog-friendly bars, live music entertainment at all 8 locations, 7 days a week. And, of course, Buffalo Logo Apparel, where you can get the shirt I'm currently wearing, paying homage to the GOAT himself, Dominic Hasek, or you even get the matching hat, the 39 with the goat helmet and the embroidered Letterman style hat. So snapback. They have the RJ hat. They have so much built stuff there, so much Buffalo based stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. Go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Instagram and Twitter, at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter, fattybeer.com, buffalogo.com. It just kicked off. I mean, so you know how these things go. They don't get right into it. They make you wait. We might even get one more commercial break here. But they are currently talking to Boston University superstar Macklin Celebrini. He's the consensus first overall pick on literally every single analyst ranking. You know when they have their mock draft board, he is going number one. He's the consensus. He is the guy. He is the Bedard. He is the McDavid. He is the Austin Matthews. He is going number one right now. Buffalo's odds sit at about 3%, whereas the odds for San Jose are, leading the way at 18.5. But this kid is phenomenal. He's smart. He's talking right now with Buchacross and on ESPN, and they're just going over some of, obviously, his season highlights. Obviously, highlight reels are mostly, just nothing but the best possible things you could see in terms of a highlight reel. But this kid is smart. He has all the intangibles you want in a future superstar. Right now, the pre-draft order sits as San Jose at number 1, Chicago number 2, Anaheim number 3. I believe it's Columbus number 4. They just took it off the screen. Give me one moment here. Yeah, they're not giving. Kevin Weeks is talking now, but I'll get to the rest of that list here momentarily. But yeah, we know how this goes. Buffalo. We had the best chances of winning the draft lottery during the Eichel draft. Obviously, that didn't happen. Unfortunately, we ended up second with Edmonton winning the McDavid lottery. And then we won it when we weren't even trying to win it because we tanked that year. The year we won Dahlin, and we won this the superstar Swede, who still at this point, I mean, there's still a lot to want there. He had a great season. Had a great season the previous year. He hasn't even reached his glass ceiling yet, in my opinion. So again, a lot to be excited there with him. And then again, Owen Power, a year where we weren't like trying to tank or anything like that. And we get the Michigan stud, had a phenomenal 2 seasons with them. And again, back-to-back defensemen at first overall. Obviously the odds are a little more stacked, but again, Columbus at 4, Montreal with the 5th best odds. The Utah, I'm not sure if they named that team yet. I think we're still waiting. Utah comes in after that. And again, they took it right off the screen here. I could just bring it up real quick. Utah, Ottawa. I know they're doing it right at the Sphere in Vegas too. And this looks sick. I don't know if you guys that are watching it, but they're showing the NHL, draft lottery graphics on the Sphere, and that looks sick, man. That's something I would definitely want to see at some point in my life, for sure. But yeah, I'm assuming right here, June 28th and 29th, is the draft lottery. But Buchacross is currently talking with Commissioner Gary Bettman. Utah at 6, Ottawa at 7, Seattle at 8, Calgary 9, New Jersey at 10, us at 11. So the Sabres sit at the 11th best odds. I'm having a little interference right now on my TV, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see 2 drawings for 16 teams that did not make the playoffs. Teams can only move up a maximum of 10 spots. If a team is 2 to 16 range wins, if a team in the 12 to 16 range wins the first drawing, first pick will remain with the San Jose Sharks. All right. Bill Daly is getting ready to draw the cards. Let's see what happens here. 16 will go to The St. Louis Blues. So they don't move. They don't move at all. They stay put at 16. 15. The Detroit Red Wings. So they don't move at all either. 14. We'll go to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Also, don't move up at all. San Jose Shark. They traded it to the Sharks, and I believe in the Carlson deal. 13. Minnesota Wild. So Minnesota doesn't move up in the rankings at all. You know, the odds list. They stayed put. 12th pick. Flyers, they don't move up at all. So this is right where, you know, things might get a little dicey. So the teams that couldn't move up more than 10 spots, that is done and over with. Of course, I'm getting interference right now at the worst possible time. The absolute worst possible time. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut to a commercial break here. The worst possible time. Sabres will stay at draft number 11. So the Sabres aren't moving at all. They will stay at 11. So the Buffalo Sabres will pick 11th. I imagine this is a spot that they will probably want to move out of. I mean, it's not the best draft in the world in terms of depth. It's pretty deep at defenseman for sure. But yeah, I would not be surprised if the Buffalo Sabres do try and move out of that pick. They have so much draft capital as of right now. Not draft capital, just prospects between Kulik, Rosen, Osland, Savoy. You have Benson, who wasn't even supposed to make this past season's roster. He did. There's only just so much space at the dinner table. You know, however, whatever cliche saying you want to use. But it does look like I might not actually look. I do believe that the Buffalo Sabres will probably try and pick out of that. But New Jersey stays at 10. The Devils don't move up at all. They stay put. We'll see. 9th goes to Calgary. Let's see what 8 come. The 8th pick will go to the Seattle Kraken. So we're moving pretty quick here. 7th pick will go to the Ottawa Senators. So the Senators will be picking 7th. Still waiting here on number 6. Sorry, guys, I got a little bit of a delay here. The 6th pick will go to Utah. So they moved down the draft board. They assuming that again, I don't know if you guys in the chat know if they have any change in their name or if it's going to be the Yetis. Personally, I think it should be the Mammoth. I'm a big fan of the Mammoth. At 5 will be the Montreal Canadiens. Canadiens will be picking 5th. It's down to Columbus, Chicago, Anaheim, and the number 1 odds team, San Jose. So number 4. Unless they just cut to commercial break, I believe. So, yeah. So this is what it's all about. They drag it out. But as of right now, the Buffalo Sabres will be picking 11th overall. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin shops that pick. When you have so much talent in your prospect pool, Columbus will be picking 4th. Now we're down to the final 3. Again, I'm not watching it on TV. I'm a little bit of a delay, so I'm not sure if it's cut to commercial yet or not. But it is down to San Jose, Chicago, and Anaheim. And I swear if Chicago wins the draft lottery after they were gifted Bedard after the whole Kyle Beach thing, that's the sexual assault cover up with Kyle Beach, and then the next year they're awarded the first overall pick. I swear, if they win 2 lotteries in a row, I'll lose it. I'll lose it because they don't deserve it. There's a franchise out there that does not deserve to win the draft lottery. It is absolutely the Chicago Blackhawks. Please, for the love of Almighty, no. Yeah, right now it's at a commercial break. But yeah, Columbus sticks at 4. Not surprising. Most teams up until Utah at 6, nobody really moved out of their adjusted spots where they were like ranked or projected to go in terms of their odds. And if you're outside of that top 11, you can only move up 10 spots to begin with. That's how the draft lottery is. I mean, I'm not a fan of the draft lottery to begin with. Personally, I know it's supposed to like prevent teams from intentionally tanking, much like the way we did. But yeah, I not a fan. Just not a fan because it still doesn't stop teams from tanking. So that's just my opinion. Not a fan of it. Got a couple comments here in the thread. Greg, we ain't moving up, but we can move the pick for an impact player now in a package. Time to move the process forward faster. Again, and Kevin Adams will get calls on that pick without a doubt. Probably on draft day. I would not be surprised if he moved it like the days before the draft. I don't see him moving that pick anytime soon because things will really start to heat up. Obviously, after the season's over, when most teams that maybe sold, went for broke, maybe at the NHL trade deadline, maybe they want to restock up on picks. They have players on, aren't working out, need a change of scenery, or going to be on expiring contracts, maybe two years left in their deal. Maybe they're trying to move bodies. You think of teams like Calgary, even Tampa Bay, they're not getting any younger. They might have guys that they might want to move up and start retooling the cupboards. Teams like Nashville, they've been talked about a lot. I think there's a lot of teams out there. Like Washington, another great example. A team that might be willing to part ways with some guys that might be, in their 30s, early 30s, late 20s, maybe guys that aren't extremely part of the plan moving forward. They want to move on and gain as much draft capital as possible. Could definitely see it being a team like Washington, a team like Pittsburgh. Guys, again, teams that have pieces that they're willing to move that can help a team win now. And in for the next couple years, and just really retool their farm system, restock the cupboards. And Kev Adams should be absolutely willing to part ways with that pick. It's not a top 10 pick. Granted, yeah, there are good players to get. Outside the top 5, outside top 8. I think Benson was 8th overall. I forget where Buffalo picked. If somebody wants to remind me in the chat, where Benson was picked last year. Was he outside the top 10? I think he was. But again, he was a gem, and is going to be a great player for the Buffalo Sabres. The Anaheim Ducks sit at 3. So it's coming down to Chicago and San Jose. I swear, man, it is rigged if Chicago wins it. It is rigged. San Jose wins the NHL Draft Lottery, it looks like. I'm watching a stream on YouTube because my feed on my TV is. Yep, so good. Thank God. I would not have been able to stomach Chicago winning 2 draft lotteries in a row. No, thank you. Absolutely not. So, but the order goes from 11 to 1. The Buffalo Sabres picking 11th. The New Jersey Devils picking 10th. The Calgary Flames at 9. Seattle 8. Ottawa Senators at 7. 6 is the Utah, Salt Lake City, whatever, they want to call their team, whatever it's going to be. Yetis, Mammoth. I like Mammoth. The Montreal Canadiens at 5. Columbus Blue Jackets at 4. The Anaheim Ducks at 3. Chicago Blackhawks at 2. And then in Mike Greer's San Jose Sharks will be sitting pretty at 1. Good for them. And, that's a team that needs, desperately to retool. They were able to swing a deal with Pittsburgh to unload that Carlson. They still ate some of that contract, but they were able to get, dump a bunch of cap there. So good for them, man. I'm happy that if there was a team not named the Buffalo Sabres, I would like to have seen win the draft lottery. It was absolutely the San Jose Sharks, because San Jose can be a good hockey city when the team is playing well. We've seen it in the past, so definitely happy to see them. And congrats to Mike Greer, like Greg says here. Congrats to Mike Greer, Ryan Miller, and Thomas Vanek on winning the lottery. That's right. We have some former Sabres alumni with the San Jose Sharks organization. I forgot that Ryan Miller is he with the organization. I know Vanek is. I didn't know Ryan Miller was. Good for Gearsy. Again, happy to see you guys all agree with me. Trade the pick. Absolutely trade the pick. And Vinny, it's Chicago. It's Gary. He's going to give them Celebrini. Thank God he didn't, man, because Celebrini is going to go enjoy the sun in San Jose, far away from the Atlantic Division, far away from, we'll see him twice a season. So just a future potential superstar that we are not going to have to see, to play or deal with unless it is in the playoffs at some point, which in that case, it would be the Stanley Cup Finals. But a guy we're only going to have to deal with, assuming that he goes to San Jose for twice a year. So super happy about that. But yeah, I have, honest to God, zero interest in keeping this pick. You guys give me 1 second. Just tweeting out updates to all of you guys. Give me one moment here. Sorry for the unprofessionalism. I usually have a co-host along with me able to do this. Okay. One second, guys. I can't type today. Like when you're trying to do something really fast and you're all over the place. Jesus. Sorry. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Do 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 do. That's better with that. All right. There we go. Just wanted to set an update out there, you guys on Twitter. You'll catch it there in a second. But yeah, start coming in with your ideas here in the chat for all of you that are watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Ideas, because again, I don't want to talk about making that pick at all. I want to trade out of it. There will be teams that would be looking to again restock the cupboards come the NHL draft. They'll be looking to part ways with certain players that again maybe they're in the age range of like 29, 30, 31. They're not part of the future plans, or maybe they don't want to be a part of the future plans. Maybe, we saw what happened with Eichel before he hurt his neck. We know that he requested a trade out of Buffalo because he didn't want to be a part of a rebuild, which would have been his second rebuild in a short career with Buffalo. So with that being said, maybe you're in a situation like that. You're looking, to maybe unload that pick and maybe a prospect. Again, you have players that might not make this lineup in the next 2 years. You don't know. You just can't keep rolling out the same roster and just plop in a prospect here and there. You need to bring in experience. And I think that's what Lindy Ruff's vision with Kevin Adams. I think there's no chance that they don't do that. So with that being said, I am all about trading out of that pick. whether it's for like a guy like Boone Jenner out of Columbus, whether it's for, you know, uh, take your pick. I think, it's going to depend on the mold of player that's going to best fit what Lindy Ruff wants. And, I look at a team like Minnesota, and they wouldn't trade him. I believe he's an assistant captain. I don't think he's their captain. But, you look at a guy like, again, you want to talk about nostalgia, you look at guys like Marcus Foligno. I could totally see a player of that DNA coming to Buffalo. A guy who, plays with a real edge, isn't afraid to hit, sticks up for teammates, will drop the gloves if he needs to, but can also potch you 20 to 25 goals. Because if you think about it, what is the value of a pick outside the top 10? In Buffalo, we know that that's not always a guaranteed NHL player. You just know it's not always the case. There have been guys that we have taken outside the top 10 that haven't panned out. We see it all over the league. So if I could bring in with that 11th overall pick a guy that is going to help my team next year and beyond, you do it. You just do it. You have enough players in your cupboard, in your farm system, in Rochester, over in Europe, in junior hockey. Like you have enough players that you can continue to develop and, hope helps your roster. Maybe one or two of them next year. I would lean more one, but in the years to follow. But you have a pick at number 11. I think it would be really, really, really disappointing if Kevin Adams didn't trade out of that, trade that pick and bring in a player that can, help the team next year. Now on to supporting, are we buying out Skinner? I don't think they're going to buy out Skinner personally. I think that that's not something Kevin Adams. I don't have. Has Kevin Adams ever bought out a player? I don't know if he has. So I don't. I know I wouldn't. I don't see them buying out Jeff Skinner. It's not something that I mean, they have the option to, I guess, but he's been one of the most consistent goal scorers we've seen in the last decade. He's not a great defensive player. Yeah, we know that, but there are players like that on almost in every team in the NHL. Maybe not players that score at the same clip as Jeff Skinner, but I just don't foresee them moving on from him. I could be wrong. I'm not Kevin Adams. I don't make those decisions and for good reason. But that being said, you have to trade out of this pick. I'm gonna try and pull up. See players that might be available. Come the off season. So you look at guys like pending free agents, Jonathan Marchessault, a guy who I don't think the Vegas Golden Knights can afford. Potential trade targets, maybe not for the Sabres, but these are the guys, these are the names, at least on NHL trade rumors, that are constantly being thrown around. Pierre-Luc Dubois, personally, I want nothing to do with him. I think he's a head case. I think that, if things aren't going his way, instead of, trying to meet a challenge, he, cries his way out of cities. So yeah, I have zero interest. Lucas Reichel, don't really have any interest there. Here's an interesting name, too, that I've been in on in the past. Anthony Duclair. Again, I'm not sure if he's a free agent or not. Again, this is coming from NHL trade rumors. I'm a big time Anthony Duclair guy. I've always been a fan of him. Obviously, Mitch Marner's name is being floated around a lot. Honestly, I don't know if I have a ton of interest in that player. I think he would fit within a lot of other teams, maybe styles, depending on the coach. Like I could totally see Marner going to a team like Nashville or a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think John Cooper might be able to find a way to turn Mitch Marner into more of a dynamic, less than a one-dimensional player. I don't even think Mitch Marner is just that much of a one-dimensional player. I think there is absolutely more to be desired there. But Boone Jenner, again, I've mentioned his name, a guy that I think teams would be interested in if he became available. You always hear guys like Trevor Zegras' name thrown out at Anaheim. I'm not sure how much I'm interested. I mean, I would love a guy like Trevor Zegras. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's got a really good future ahead of him, and I don't see them dealing him. But yeah, I without a doubt, I have zero interest. Again, I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more. Zero interest in seeing Buffalo hold on to that pick at 11. There is literally no way you would ever trade up in this draft because nobody's trading out of the first overall pick. Even though I kind of like gauged that idea, just a hypothetical earlier on Twitter, like what is the value in terms of a rostered player of, Macklin Celebrini? People say he's a can't-miss product. He is literally the consensus number one pick on everybody's draft board. He is going to be an immediate impact type of player, much like Bedard was this year for Chicago when he was healthy. Yeah, for me, I don't know. If you're looking at Buffalo, that conversations like that starts with players like Dylan Cousins, probably starts with players like Owen Power. And I don't have interest in trading at least Owen Power. Dylan Cousins is a different story. Um, you know, I think that I love Dylan Cousins. I love his style of play. Um, I just don't. I just hope he can get back to that his sophomore season, the level he was playing at there, because he just looked a far cry from that player this year that he was from the previous. Linus Olmark is definitely going to be on his move, probably out of Boston. You'd have to imagine. Not that I have interest in Linus Olmark. I don't. I think we're sitting pretty at goaltender with Devin Levi, and obviously with UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, really, coming um, coming into his own this season and was clearly Buffalo's MVP. You look at a team like Ottawa, do they guys like DeBrincat, who, you look at the players that they would expected of, they expected to be a playoff team this year. Is Brady Tkachuk happy? I would absolutely trade a lot for Brady Tkachuk because he is absolutely a Lindy Ruff player, and he's going to pot you 85 plus points a season. That is a guaranteed. And then, you know what I mean? Like Dylan Cousins, see ya. See ya. I absolutely. Just the DNA, the bloodline of a Brady Tkachuk. Absolutely. Otto wants number 11 and Dylan Cousins. See ya. For Brady Tkachuk. All right. I'm in. I'm sure you guys are all in too. And here's the thing. I love Dylan Cousins. I think he is going to be a very, very, very good NHL player. You've heard me constantly on this podcast compare him to Michael Pekka, just a more skilled version of Michael Pekka. I'd be all in on that. Other teams that I think that will be on the have players on the move this offseason. Teams like Nikolai Ehlers. We've seen his name thrown around a lot too. We're very familiar with that name. With the old rumors of who was a Botterill that turned down, was it Tim Murray or Botterill that turned down a deal that involved 1-for-1 Nikolai Ehlers and Rasmus Ristolainen. I'd be all in on that. Again, another name thrown around out of Los Angeles is, of course, Pierre-Luc Dubois. I have zero interest on that player at all. So let's see other players that might be available. Again, these message boards, you kind of go through them all and see, like, you kind of dip and dive, or sift through the rumors. Ottawa Senators and the Summer of Staios. They just hired, obviously, Travis Green to be their new head coach just hours ago. Jacob Chikrin, obviously rumored to be on the move. Shabbat, another name. Travis Hamonic, player that might get bought out. Again, don't really have interest in any of those players. You look at Winnipeg's roster. They have Kirby Dach. They have Cole Perfetti, like a very rich pipeline of players. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sorry, Kirby Dach is with Montreal. Wrong team there. And then Pittsburgh Penguins, they're a very, very, very interesting team. That I think are be moving a lot of pieces to get younger. They're going to want to, acquire as much draft capital. Dubas is known, he's not afraid to make trades if they make sense. So, he kind of built that mess that's in Toronto. So I wouldn't be willing to be a trade partner with the Pittsburgh Penguins, depending on what they're dealing. Nashville, again, another target that might be looking to get a little bit younger. And again, I look at Tampa Bay. So lots of options there if you're looking to trade the 11th overall pick, which I think Kevin Adams should be. What do you guys think? Again, I think Buffalo definitely needs their third line center. We had that with Casey Middlestat, but I'm still very, very happy with the deal, the player we gotten back with Bowen Byram. I would still do that trade even today, without a doubt, because I think he has a higher ceiling than Casey. And I think he really, really makes your blue line near Stanley Cup level. You look at teams that had prolonged success in the league and how strong their blue lines were. Your Tampa Bay Lightning, your Chicago Blackhawks, they really built from the back end out. And I think Buffalo, is doing that with their top three in Dahlin, Owen Power, and Bowen Byram. I think they need another defenseman. Again, I've been all in on Calgary, and I've said this so many times. You've seen me say it on Twitter. Blake Coleman, there's your third line player. He didn't play a lot of center, but he has played center in the past. That's a guy that I think would fill in really nice in your bottom six, in your third line. And then Mackenzie Weegar. Again, I know he's signed until like 2031 when he's 37 years old, but he's not on a bad contract. If you get Calgary to retain some of that deal, I would absolutely trade the 11th overall pick and one prospect for both those players. Maybe I'm giving up too much, but that's what both those players are worth to me. Or maybe just 11th overall for both with retention on both Coleman and Weegar. Sign me up on that all day, because that helps your team next year. Weegar had 20 goals this season, a defenseman. Coleman put up what you would expect from a third line player. He had a career high in over 30 points, I think, or 50 points. I think he had close to 60. I believe he had 30 goals. He might have 30 goals, but he had a career high this year. He has a ring. I think maybe 2 rings with Tampa Bay. So sign me up for that all day. They even have like guys like Nazem Kadri who might want out, Again, it's tough because there are no move clauses involved with a lot of these players, and they have to waive them to move out, and they might not want to. Not everyone wants to come to Buffalo. Buffalo isn't like the go-to most sought out after location for most players. Obviously, high taxes in New York State. And then obviously, just the lack of success with the organization in quite some time. I would not be surprised if their teams just didn't want to come here. Players didn't want to come here, and it's not surprising. That being said, guys, I'm going to close out here. I thank you guys for hopping on here with me. We've been live for about 35 minutes now. San Jose Sharks win the NHL Draft lotteries. Buffalo sits at 11. I wasn't really anticipating moving up. It'd be cool to move up in this draft. And, again, anything outside of a top 3 pick, I would have had zero interest in utilizing that pick. Just trade it for some team who barely scraped into the playoffs this year. Trade it for their first round pick and a rostered player now. Again, you have enough high end prospects in your system. You have plenty of picks next year's draft. You have assets coming out the ass. So I don't think you need to make that pick at 11. I think most of you as Sabres fans would agree. And I'm not even going to bother, like I said before, even going through the prospects that could be on the board, might not be on the board for them at 11, because I have zero interest in Kevin Adams making that pick. And again, it would be a huge disappointment if he did. And I'd love to hear from him after this draft lottery to see what he thinks, about that pick. I'm sure he'll be asked the next time he is spoken to by the media. So we'll see. With that being said, remember this is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with 8 different Western New York locations and over 300 beers to choose from. Fatty Beer is the premier spot, for your happy hour needs, your NHL playoffs, baseball season's in full swing. Golf, they just had the Masters there. Yeah, I had a great time watching the Masters over at the Fatty Beer in Lancaster. So great atmosphere, great vibes, and they have a great beer selection and live entertainment. They have live music in all 8 locations all the time. Trivia at every location every week, and they're open from 11:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. and later. And Buffalo Go Apparel, the best spot to get all of your Buffalo sports apparel needs, whether it's your shirts, your hats, your hoodies. You get this shirt, the GOAT # shirt at Buffalo Go Co. on Instagram and Twitter, buffalogo.com. And, of course, the matching Letterman snapback. Absolute fire. And make sure you get your hands on the RJ hat as well. Lots of stuff to choose from. The Let's Go Ruffalo shirt, the picture of Lindy Ruff on a white tee, his player profile picture from like the 80s. It's absolutely electric. Go check it out. I am Duane Snell. This is episode 156, 2 goalies, 1 mic. Signing off. Buffalo picks 11th. San Jose wins the draft lottery. I'll talk to you guys next time. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at DuaneS39, at 2 goalies, 1 mic. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. Please, it helps a lot. So that being said, I'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for hopping on.
Every ounce of it, every drop, every taste, on the tip of my tongue, been my nail, bite my thumb.